I want to begin this video by saying that back in 2014, 2015, I was a Total War YouTuber. I played video games for a living. I was pretty well known, pretty big. I knew all the top names in the Total War community, even so much so that I was sent to different events that they were having, that Creative Assembly was having, and I was given the games early, the DLC early, to try it out, to showcase it on my channel. I was part of the creator program. Well, once Warhammer 1 dropped, basically what ended up happening was that I got dropped from the program right off the bat. Wasn't given anything. I was basically unceremoniously shown out the door, and I was at a huge disadvantage when it came to other people who were doing the exact same thing, and so I voluntarily left the community. And that experience as a content creator left a bad taste in my mouth for years, and it still has not fully recovered. Well, when I came back into the scene with this channel, basically this channel is an homage to that original channel, just in a different way. I decided that I was going to tell my entire story of that situation in detail and vent to you guys as to what ended up happening. I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description below. Well, that experience colored my perspective on the Warhammer games, and even though I saw that they had a lot of flaws and a lot of things were taken out, and I felt like Total War was going in a direction that I did not like, I still was very biased against them because of the fact that of what happened to me, of how I was cut, how I was thrown to the wayside and thrown into the trash bin, essentially. So I was very personal when it came to the Warhammer and the Total War series. I was taking things very personal, and that colored me a little bit when it went into Warhammer 3. I wasn't even going to get Warhammer 3. I was going to let it just ride out, get it later when it was cheaper, and see if it was good. That's kind of what I did with Warhammer 2. Well, I decided, let me go ahead and pull the trigger on Warhammer 3 because I saw a few Let's Plays and it looked pretty interesting, and I gotta tell you that I was absolutely wrong with anything that I said in the previous videos on the Warhammer 3 subject. I have a few of them out. Warhammer 3 is so much fucking fun. Not only that, personally to me, it is by far one of the hardest Total War games I ever played, but with so much achievements unlockable, so many things that can be gained throughout your experience, and so many ways to bounce back. It is by far, in my opinion, one of the most versatile Total War experiences, because even if you only have one settlement, you drop down to one settlement, you are losing on all fronts. There's always a way to come back because of the aspect of it all, because of the magic, because of the monsters, because of some of the heavy units that you get later down the line. I had a lot of fun, and I'll be honest with you, it is a grind. Unless you put the difficulty down very low, medium, to me, even hard, is just a grind. I cannot imagine people like Legend who are playing on Legendary. I can't imagine how they're doing it, because the game is extremely difficult for me, but it is so much fun. They've added a lot of new things in the game that I really like. Some things I don't really like. I would say, right off the top of my head, the one thing that I do not like that has really kind of like, I hope they don't bring it back for other series. They didn't have it in Three Kingdoms. Something that I actually wanted to be in Warhammer, and that is these small settlement battles. Now in Warhammer 2, you don't have those. You get the big city ones, and then you have open battles. That's basically it. If you hit a small settlement, it's an open battle. But in this, you do get small settlements, which I thought was going to be great. The problem is that there are too many capture points in the settlement itself. So you can't just get the one capture point and win. You have to get all these different capture points to defeat most of the armies, and so you end up playing not only a lot of settlement battles, small settlement battles, but you also get to play them for a much longer time than you normally would. I feel like I would dial that back. I wouldn't have so many capture points, and I wouldn't have so many small settlement battles. I would have the AI come out of them more often, because they really don't, unless they see an advantage. Unless you're going to ambush them, they really don't come out of their small settlements. That's the basic gripe that I have right now. But I've played 3 different campaigns, one with Cathay, because I had to play Cathay. I've been wanting to play Cathay since I've seen them come out, since I've seen them announce. Love Cathay. I play Cathay, Kislev, and Khorne. I gotta say, Cathay to me, I feel like I was playing the game wrong at that point, because I was just so behind where I needed to be. I was doing things that I probably could have done better, and I wasn't as fast-paced as I needed to be. I was just very timid, and this game is not for the timid. You cannot be very timid in this. It's very hard to be timid. You have to be aggressive, and so I felt like in that game I could have done better. With Kislev, I played aggressively. I played expansionist, and I expanded pretty far, but way too fast. And what ended up happening was I got surrounded by enemies. There are so many stronger factions all in the north. right above you that you cannot really make allies with, and it sucks. But it's really fun because there are so many different variations of it, and there are so many different types of creatures and other Kislev type of factions and Empire factions and even Cathay that you can basically interact with, and makes it a lot of fun. Played Khorne. That's the last game that I played. What you're seeing the gameplay of right now, Khorne is a fucking blast because I don't give a shit about empire building at all. It really restricts you on empire building because you have to sacrifice or you have to collect skulls to be able to populate a settlement, and it's hard to get those without sacking more settlements. So it really is a give and take when it comes to expansion, but I loved it because the ginormous lord that you get, the huge demon that you get, is just so tanky. All your units are so tanky, and you feel like you're the leader of a demonic army that is really just hell-bent on destroying everything. You feel like you're the Ice King, or you feel like you're Sauron in other fantasy genres. It just feels so visceral, and I'm just loving it. I'm having a great time. Even if I lose a settlement, I don't even care. I'm like, well, they died. They sacrificed themselves for the greater good, and I go back in there and I handle business, because anywhere I go, my leader is so strong and he's so powerful, so tanky that, I mean, it's just great to see. It's honestly, the animations are great. I love the diplomacy system. They took some of it from Three Kingdoms and they added it in there, and it makes sense for the world of Warhammer 3. And the map is humongous. I don't think I'll ever be able to not only conquer the entire map, but really see most of it, honestly, in one campaign, because it's so damn big. It's ginormous. And the fact that they even don't have it completely finished, because they don't have Ind, they don't have Nippon, they don't have the Chaos Dwarves, they don't have a few other factions that I would add into the game. They don't have Araby either in the game yet. I'm assuming they're going to add those to complete the Warhammer 3 roster, but there's still so much ways you can go. It's just a really fun game. I feel like the optimization is great. This is the best running Total War game that I've ever played, even better than Three Kingdoms. It doesn't lag at all. It's always at 60 FPS for me or higher. It always is top of the line. No matter how many units are on board, no matter how many units are playing, no matter what settlements we're fighting, nothing is slowing down this game. Even the magic spells, everything like that, it's really well done. I think when the game first came out with just Warhammer 3, there were a lot of bugs, and I was going to make a video back then clowning on it, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to wait for the game to come out, because I'm not going to clown on it and show my bias, because I do have a bias against Creative Assembly and Total War because of the past, and I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm trying to let go of it, but I didn't want to do that, and I'm glad I didn't, because the game, they fixed a lot of it. And of course, you shouldn't be releasing a game only to fix it afterward. But, I mean, for me, it doesn't matter. I bought it now, and I bought it to play Mortal Empires, and now the game runs great. I love it. I'm having a great time playing it. I'm having a blast. It's just really, really fun. Each faction feels completely different than the other one. They all have different goals. They all have different lore. They all have different missions that you can play. They all have different aspects of the way that they handle each other, and they have different abilities. They have different units. It's just really, really cool. And I guess I didn't get it before to this extent, because Warhammer 1, you really didn't have a variety of units, and in Warhammer 2, you were stuck on like that main page of the world. You were only stuck in the old world and the new world. That's it. It felt like kind of like a rectangle, and it felt like you're confined. Even though at that point the Lizardmen were my favorite. Now I really like Khorne. I love Khorne. I love the demons that you get. I love the demonic soldiers that you get. I love the Warriors of Chaos. Those look really badass to me, and they look like some metal rock covers or something, album covers, back in the day in the 80s and stuff like that. And it just feels that way. You feel like whatever faction you play, you feel immersed in their lore. You feel immersed in them, and that's something that, to me, it's really hard to get across, especially in a video game. And in Total War, it's hard for them to do it. I mean, in Troy, it was just not there. And I feel like Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 kind of were doing it. And this one, completely immersed. It's a lot of fun, guys. I 100% recommend it. And I 100% recommend not holding grudges against things that happened in the past for too long. Don't let it fester inside of you where you're just completely negative, and let it color your view on it and have a bias towards things, because at the end of the day, you could be missing out on something great. And to be honest, I forgive Creative Assembly, I forgive Warhammer for what happened to me as a creator. Even though they're a business, they have to make hard decisions. Again, I don't hold any grudges toward them, and Warhammer 3 is definitely a really awesome game. I mean, you need all the games to play it. You need Warhammer 1, Warhammer 2 to get the entire experience of Mortal Empires. I haven't played just the Warhammer 3 campaign because I heard it's not that good, and to me, I may play it in the future, but as of right now, there's just so much happening in Immortal Empires. Even the animations and the battles, everything feels like so much fun, and it's just so entertaining. I really could see myself diving thousands of hours into this game because of how many different factions there are and different parts of the world that I have yet to see. And I mean, even just in that, the map itself is just gorgeous. I mean, there's just so many different things on the map that it just feels like more alive. It gives me that Shogun 2 feeling of how that map was alive and felt really colorful, and it felt like it was part of the lore. It was immersive, and then every other map after that didn't really feel that way. Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like they changed Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2's map to make it more poppy, more colorful, and the things that are on the map, like the lore spots, things that are interesting, sites of interest, are all fleshed out very well. I mean, Three Kingdoms had a gorgeous map, even though a lot of it's the same because it's just China. This is on a completely different level. I mean, there's even an area that is basically China, fantasy China, and it feels like fantasy China. If you have both the other games and you want to play Immortal Empires, I suggest buy 3, play Immortal Empires. But if you are trying to play Immortal Empires and don't have any of them, well, it's going to be tough, it's going to be expensive, but I still suggest for you to play because it's definitely a feat that should not be understated. It is definitely something incredible that they've accomplished here, and I'm very proud of them.